Hey guys, what's up? This is Uri Peleg for GTO Wizard, and I wanted to show you guys a very crazy, super high stakes hand where one of the players did something that's a bit off the rails, and I'm going to show you how to use GTO Wizard to try exploring his thought process and getting into the mind of someone who's clearly very, very good and has thought things through. This hand is being played at 200-400 GG network between Daniel and Glory B. Glory B is a reg on multiple sites. I think he's originally American, and I have rumors about his name, but let's just say he's been around a long, long time and a very good player. And Daniel newer on the scene, but, crushing all the highest stakes right now. So, yeah, these guys start the hand. Daniel raises BVB to 1200 or 3 big blinds. Glory B 3-bets him to 3.5x. They're 150 deep. Daniel 4-bets to 10,400 and Glory B calls. And we see a flop with roughly 21k in the middle. And the board comes ace, king, queen, two-tone. So as high a board as you can get. And 4-bet ranges are high card heavy. And they're about as high card heavy as you can get, right? Single raised pot versus 3-bet versus 4-bet, we're just getting tighter and tighter. So kind of crazy already at this point, but definitely very good board for the 4-better, because a guy calling is going to have the low pocket pairs and suited connectors and stuff like that, whereas the 4-betting range is going to be more top heavy, more ace kings and ace queens and aces kings queens. And if you think about a hand like jacks 10s, if it 4-bets, it might have to turn itself into a bluff on this board. So yeah, Daniel starts with a small third pot bet, a bit less, indicating he's probably just putting pressure on with most all of his range. And Glory B calls, and at this point the ranges are going to be a bit more equal. We get 4 of spades turn for a brick. Daniel bets 9 into 30, 2.5. So again, somewhere between 25 and 33%, he has some hotkey there. And Glory B throws in the min raise, to which Daniel shoves, and Glory B calls for another 60 big blinds or so. And we see a showdown with Daniel having pocket queens and Glory B having ace queen offsuit. And at first glance, this doesn't make any sense to me, because ace queen offsuit, I mean, first of all, why min raise on a turn? What's the rush? What are you denying equity from? And, your range is at a disadvantage, so I don't really see much reason to fast play. Generally, when your range is at a disadvantage and you don't need much protection, rather than fast playing, you slow play top of your range to slow your opponent down on the river to kind of protect the rest of your range. And I would have assumed this is a spot like that where there are not really many fast plays, if at all. And second, the sizing maybe I can understand, but the hand choice, ace queen offsuit, just seems too weak. I mean, look at the board. The 4-better is going to have ace king, aces, kings, queens. What are you beating with ace queen? Are you hoping for a miracle king queen? Or ace jack that's probably not putting a stack in? It just seems like overplaying the hand. So the entire hand seems weird. And I'm going to show you guys how we can use GTO Wizard to dive in and break it down. So we're loading the hand in GTO Wiz. I'm going to go for, I guess, chip EV or NL10K. Let's go NL10K because rake on GG network is a bit higher. And 150 deep. And here small blind raises to 3.5x, which is, it's not exactly the same details, but it's close enough. And certainly once we face the 4-bet, we're going to be, ranges are going to be close enough and SPR is going to be close enough. So yeah, we have the 4-bet, and note that queens is always 4-betting, as is jacks. And ace queen offsuit as well very often. And interestingly enough, at 150 deep with these sizes, the in-position player slow plays a ton against the 4-bet. And this is just a function of all the sizes and the stack depth, where shoving is a bit much, plus you're in position and you don't have room to click it back. So it just creates a situation where you slow play all the time. And if you think about it, probably very few people do this. And not many people even look at 150 deep sim. But yeah, either way, we'll progress from there and click call and solve post-flop with AI. And as we expected, this board is very, very good for the out of position player, and he gets to bet close to his full range. I think the sizing used in the hand, and this is not terribly important, but we might as well, is more like a 29% than a 25%. So 29% and in position exclusively calls, which, as I said, this is kind of what happens when you're at a big disadvantage. And even though you can have aces or jack 10, they don't need protection, and you really want to try to help the rest of your range see showdown and not let your opponent barrel into you like crazy by fast playing everything. So yeah, we have a call, turn brick e4, and let's take a look at what happens here. So first of all, the solver's bet size of choice is 46%, so larger than we saw happen. And if we click that bet size in, there's no real min raising. Of course, it's tiny bit of shoving and almost never with ace queen, super duper rare. And that's just because there's not much money behind. And now we're going to have to edit the sizes and see if we can make this make some more sense. So like we said, the bet size itself was somewhere around this. So a smaller bet. This small bet lets the out of position player, this is important, keep barreling kind of depolar. So king, queen, ace, jack, ace, 10. And like I was saying, we're going to use pocket 10s and pocket jacks and king, jack, and all these hands as kind of merge barrels because, they're just not showing down for very much money, and they have these nice removal properties. So versus a small bet, again, there is no raising for in position, and certainly no raising with ace queen because it's not strong enough. And everything, like I was saying, the play with ace queen doesn't make sense. So how would it make sense? Pause the video and try to think what might have been going through Glory B's mind as he's making this raise. Okay, so one thing, and I think this is a key part, to make this raise make sense, is you have to understand the chaos of this situation. In that when you're 150 deep out of position 4-bet pot and you get this unique structure of as high a board as possible, a lot of people, or I dare say all people, don't have their bet sizes completely mapped out. And so this 29% bet, when you see it, you can assume, oh, this is the only bet size this guy is going to have. But you could also assume that maybe he's going to have more than one bet size, depending on his hand. And if we let the solver have more than one bet size, of course, the solver would balance both bet sizes, but we know the solver doesn't like this 29% size. It's the wrong size. That should always be a warning flag that, well, if this guy is betting the wrong size, maybe something about his betting strategy is weighed towards hands that want that size. And if we look and we say, okay, well, 60% is clearly used more than 29%, but 60% doesn't let us bet ace, jack, and ace 10, and it doesn't let us bet king, queen every time, we might stop and say, well, when I see 29%, that range is probably going to be weighed around, and we'll see this here. The major hands in this range are going to be ace 10, ace, jack, and king, queen. And so if we throw in a 29% bet, suddenly ace queen offsuit starts raising, and suddenly everything makes sense. But it's still only raising a small amount. Now, this is where node locking comes in, and this is where the genius of the guys playing here can kind of be shown, is that
introduce a little anarchy. Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos.
Well, like we said, this 29% almost doesn't exist, right? It's very mixed. But if we were to node lock and we'll say, the 29% bet, we're going to make it more often with the hands that fit for it. Okay? So let's say we go 100% of the time, ace, jack offsuit, ace 10 offsuit, king, queen offsuit, and king, queen suited. And all of these hands where, this bet size kind of makes sense for your hand are going to be thrown in there. And we don't know about all the other hands. We don't know what they would do. But certainly we expect, once we see these hands, once we see the size for all of these hands, to be heavily in there. And now we can click node lock. And what the program will do is it will lock those specific hands. And then it will kind of try to balance everything else around that to have an actual range. So it'll add some slow plays and add some bluffs, etc. But the core of the range is going to be those hands, and they're going to be pushed in there. And if we do this and we click bet 29%, again, ace queen offsuit raising more, but not every time. Now, to make it raise every time, we'd have to throw in kind of a last node lock, but one that has the same logic as this one. And that would be that when a human has this kind of range, it's actually not correctly balanced and it's a bit uncalibrated. So ace king is not mixing in the slow plays and jack 10 is not mixing in enough slow plays. And so this range starts becoming unprotected. And if we were to node lock that, and that requires, a bit more of a stretch in a way, but what we would do is go here and ace king is gonna always bet big, and let's say jack 10 is always gonna bet big, or I guess which hand would we throw in there that would make the most sense? Yeah, say kings. So you kind of remove those slow plays, and then you have to click lock and lock all. And this is a bit problematic because now the range is going to be unbalanced. And if I were to do it differently, the solver would add different slow plays instead of the ones I'm removing. But we could do that as well and just kind of lock all the slow plays and let it handle that. And maybe that would be better. But yeah, now we click bet 29 and ace queen is just a very frequent shove. And presumably something like this is what was going through Glory B's mind. So a hand that at first glance might look butchered and you load it into the solver and what the hell is this guy thinking? But really, he's just having this exploitative thought process and not giving his opponent credit for being a computer, and suddenly it makes sense. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the hand and analysis. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.